to give us an idea of what Leadersmine Nigeria is about in general, what Leadersmine Interlocution is about in general, before we delve into today's particular topic. I will invite my colleague here so that we'll just do a quick introduction of what Leadersmine Nigeria is about. So please.
All right, good morning once again, everyone.
Good morning.
And I welcome you to Leadersmine Nigeria Interlocution. This is the first edition, and sorry, my name is Emmanuel Olali.
Okay.
This program was put together by Barrister Olakunle Shobodi and myself. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here. I mean, Barrister Shobodi could not be here for one reason or the other. He had to be somewhere very important. But he made an introductory speech, which I'm going to read to us now. And hopefully, we hope will be with us before we end the program. Okay. During the last general election, an illiterate woman was reported to have asked people to help her identify Awolowo's political party. She wanted to vote for Awolowo's political party. It is worrisome that whenever there is a genuine attempt to reference good leaders in this country, only the Awolowos, the Azikiwes, the Tafawa Balewas, and the Amadu Bellos, and the likes come to mind. The question that comes up is, for how long are they going to remain the only good leaders in this country? You will agree with me that this country needs new heroes, new references in terms of good leadership. However, according to Warren Bennis, the most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, that there is a genetic factor to leadership. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. At Leadersmine Nigeria, we believe that there is a mind in everyone filled with treasures and huge deposits of leadership potentials. With such raw potentials lying within us, we need a refinery to transform them into gold, into precious national development. This program is a platform of young people, by young people, and for young people to serve that purpose. This program is a low-budget event sponsored through the individual efforts of young people like us who believe that we cannot do too much for posterity. Very soon we shall have more small discussion or interlocution groups in different locations all across the country. You have been invited here because we view you as a political leader with something, as a potential leader with something to contribute to national discourse. Potential leaders are by this program having an opportunity of sitting together to discuss topical and trending national issues periodically, as well as developing an essential leadership skill of communication. This program gives us an opportunity to contribute to national development in our own way. Our discussions today can go a long way, and in fact, I believe it will. We intend to share the report of this program with relevant authorities and the whole world. No doubt, it is apt that this program should launch out from Abeokuta. This is the city that can rightly be described as a leader's mind. As someone connected to Abeokuta one way or the other, we have a great heritage in terms of leaders, and we have to maintain that standard. Today we shall be discussing the topic National Dialogue, to what purpose. The announcement by President Goodluck Jonathan of his intention to organize a national conference has been greeted with mixed reactions. It is important for us to add our voice to this debate. Unlike others, however, our voice will come from a well thought out and debated platform. Our facilitator, Mr. Okoyemi Ajala, is prepared to lead us through this discussion and lead us to reach a consensus as much as practicable. To ensure we have a meaningful and effective discussion, it is important that we set some ground rules for ourselves. A copy of the ground rules is available close to you, but I would like to emphasize the need for us to respect other people's views, culture, and religion. No raising of voices or abuses will be tolerated in this gathering. As potential leaders, we have to display a higher sense of decorum and maturity than we see from our present leaders if we are going to have any hope at all. We shall also appreciate if you can kindly help us by completing the review form given to you. This is important so that we can serve you better and improve on this program. We are also interested in having volunteers to help us with the planning of future events. If you are interested, kindly contact us. We shall be happy to have you work with us. I share the thoughts of Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." I repeat, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. It is indeed the only thing that ever has. While we digest that, I welcome you to the Leadersmine Abeokuta Interlocution. I wish you a fruitful and enriching deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Like as Marky said, my name is Yemi Ajala, and I'll be giving a brief introduction to the national dialogue. But before I do that, I would like us to try as much as possible to come up with a definition of leaders or leadership, and that would be like an extension of what we just heard. Who is a leader? And I think I will require some help here. I'm a bit biased towards women, so I will say ladies first. And so I wouldn't know if any of the two ladies in the house would like us to tell us who they feel that a leader is. Madam? It might just be what you feel that a leader is.
In my point of view, a leader is somebody who's able to guide, to direct people in a path which he feels is right.
Thank you very much. Any other person wants to give us a definition? Okay, before we continue, she said something about protocol, so let me just take the protocols now. One, this is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship, and I'm the dictator. And that means that if I ask someone to speak, you are not allowed to speak. And it is just to, allow a peaceful flow of everybody stating their mind. So this is not a democracy where everybody must say something at the same time. No, it's a dictatorship. I am the dictator. Okay. And so if I call you to speak, please, speak. And this is the protocol basically. I feel that a lot of people, when they are asked to introduce themselves in a public place, they say too much. So this is what we'll do. When you are called upon and you've not introduced yourself before, you just state your first name and the last 3 books you've read. I think that would be very okay for us here. The last 3 books that you've read. Because whatever they say readers are leaders. This is a leaders, and that means that you must be a reader by fire by force. Okay, and so it's just a question of stating the last 3 books. It might not be up to 3, at least the last book you read. You understand? So that is the protocol. Okay, back to the definition of leaders. Sir, you want to give us one. This is the dictatorship. Yes. What do you think? Who do you think is leader?
Personally, I think a leader.
Name, first name, and last name.
Adekamola.
Okay.
A leader.
Yes.
A leader, I believe, is someone who is actually at the helm of affairs, reigning over a particular set of people, who is at the helm of affairs, controlling, directing them, and they then going to the course of the path which he feels is right.
One more definition. One more definition.
My name is Joseph. Side of best state Palapa. I think a leader is a particular personality, not necessarily a person whose major duty is to carry his followers all along in order to achieve a particular goal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, in all these definitions, you will find out, for me personally, I'll just say this before we move on into the national dialogue itself. For me personally, I always feel that all these definitions, which are true, you understand, they are true. It's like 7 blind men looking at an elephant with their hands. One feeling the tusk will say that the elephant is a long rope. Another feeling the side will say the elephant is a big wall. You understand? And so we are all looking at the same thing from different angles and different perspectives. But personally for me, I feel that the one that encapsulates everything will be this. A leader is someone who will lead people to where they will not ordinarily go to by themselves. And that means that a leader must be someone who has foresight, not necessarily the person at the helms. It can be the one engineering things behind the scenes from the man at the helms. It might be the personal assistant to the governor. You understand? It might be the one that is actually leading the society to where they will not necessarily go to. You understand what we're saying? The reference was made to Chief Awolowo in the opening speech. The reason why I feel personally that the reason why Chief Awolowo is still being referenced was because it led the people in pre-colonial times to a place where we would not ordinarily have gone to, and the people found that this place is actually much better than where we were, and so that's why they still rely even till tomorrow. Anyway, that's about leaders. Let us go into the national dialogue. I've prepared some excerpts from various discourse that has been going on the pages of national newspaper as a form of introduction into this dialogue, into this interlocution, so that it will give us a little bit of background and also what other people are thinking about it. And so I'll read very quickly through excerpts. This first one is from the Saturday Independent, and it's titled National Dialogue and Other Jamboree. I will not read it all through. I'll be picking from various paragraphs that I think that are succinct. In the early morning Independence Day broadcast to mark Nigeria's 53rd anniversary on Tuesday, October 1, President Goodluck Jonathan was unequivocal on the urgent need to convoke a conference for national dialogue to resolve issues that currently cause friction and disaffection within and among ethnic nationalities. As a prelude, he has set up an advisory committee to facilitate modalities for the dialogue which political observers say would make or mar Nigeria, depending on its handling. Said Jonathan in the broadcast, fellow Nigerians, our administration has taken cognizance of suggestions over the years by well-meaning Nigerians on the need for a national dialogue on the future of our beloved country. When there are issues that constantly stoke tension and bring about friction, it makes perfect sense for the interested parties to come together to discuss. In demonstration of my avowed belief in positive power of dialogue in charting the way forward, I have decided to set up an advisory committee whose mandate is to establish the modalities for a national dialogue or conference. The committee will also design a framework and come up with recommendations as to the form, structure, mechanism of the process. The full membership of the committee will be announced shortly. I expect its report to be ready in 1 month, following which the nation will be briefed on the nomenclature, structure, and modalities of this dialogue. Then it goes on and says, a statement on Tuesday night in Abuja by the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Senator Ayim Payozayim, named a senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Ben Nwabueze, as one of the 13 members of the committee headed by Senator Femi Okurom, a former senator of Ogun Central. Others are Dr. Akilu Indabawa, Secretary, is the Secretary of the Advisory Committee. A former Nigerian ambassador to the United States, Professor George Obiozo, Senator Kahirat Gwadabe, Senator Timothy Adudu, Colonel Tony Yam, retired, Professor Funke Adebayo, Dr. Mairo Amshi, Dr. Abubakar Sadiq, Alhaji Dauda Birma, Malam Buhari Bello, and Mr. Tony Uranta. And so I think we should just get this in. The national dialogue has not started yet. A committee is in place, an advisory committee has been going around the country to come up with all the things that Dr. Jonathan said. And I would like to talk a little bit about one or two of personalities in the committee. Dr. Femi Okuromu was elected Senator of the Ogun State Central Constituency, Nigeria, at the start of the Fourth Republic. Okuromu was earlier a commissioner in Ogun State Ministry of Justice. He's Harvard trained. He was appointed to the Committees of Commerce and Economic Affairs when he was in the Senate. He lost to the present governor of Ogun State, Ibukun Amusun, in 2003 when he seeked re-election. But he was appointed the Secretary General of the Yoruba Socio-Cultural Group, Afenifere. In January 2005, he was chairman of the Logistics Party for a conference including leaders of both Afenifere and the Yoruba Council of Elders, YCE, and then it goes on and on and on. In July 2008, he blamed the unrest in the southwest of Nigeria on politics of self-aggrandizement. In 2009, Alfred membership was thrown open to all, regardless of party affiliation, and he was one of those people that championed it. In January 2010, Okuromu, who was the Baba Ijo of his church, has reportedly led a revolt of church elders against the presiding priest. I don't know if this will come into play, because Colonel Tony Inyam, who is also a member of that panel, was also those that planned the Gideon Oka coup of 1990, which was a coup that was planned and plotted, and it was announced on radio that it was a coup to break Nigeria. The plan was not to take over power, the plan was to break Nigeria. Colonel Inyam is the only surviving member of that coup plot, because the rest were shot. He and the financier of the coup plot, Chief Great Oboru, who has repeatedly contested for the governorship of Delta State. Okay, so that's about that. Let me just go back again to the terms of reference of the committee, because, like I said, the national dialogue has not started yet. Going by the statement, the committee's terms of reference are to consult expeditiously with all relevant stakeholders with a view to drawing up a feasible agenda for proposed national dialogue, make recommendations to the government for the structures and modalities. It is also to advise the government on the time framework for the national dialogue, its legal framework, legal procedures, options for integrating, and all others. Now, let me now go to what people have been saying about the proposed national dialogue. That there is palpable fear is that the previous government of Ibrahim Babangida, Sani Abacha, and Olusegun Obasanjo, both military and civilian, when he was a military man and when he was a civilian president, have constituted one conference or the other whose recommendations were never implemented. This is Professor Ben Nwabueze, who was appointed a member of the committee, but immediately turned it down. He said he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. And he said, I do not know the magic wand that President Goodluck has that will make the national dialogue a success. Was it not part of the government of Olusegun Obasanjo when nothing came out of the conference they constituted? It was part of the intrigues of Obasanjo to continue in power, and he wanted to use the conference to ratify his ambition. Both Ibrahim Babangida and the late Sani Abacha all used the conference forum to execute one hidden agenda or the other. The reason nothing came out of them. That's the reason why nothing came out of them. Which of the reports has been executed till date? Now, he also went on to say he has argued that the Sovereign National Conference should be convened before 2015 election because the 1999 Constitution was not prepared by the people but by a schedule of Decree 24 of 1999. Calling for a new constitution derived from the people, the renowned constitutional lawyer believes that if Nigeria must not collapse, and very soon, there is an urgent need for conference. The reason why he didn't want to be part of it, of course, was because he doesn't believe in the sincerity of the government. Said the legal icon, we have done our own research and we have in this country 389 ethnic nationalities. We need to bring these nationalities around the conference table to discuss how we are going to live together as one country in peace, in stability, in security, as one country with the aims of achieving national unity. But as of today, we are not a nation yet. We are a state. This conference should be convened as a matter of priority as soon as possible in any event before the 2015 general election. Now, I don't want to continue with because it goes on and on. Let me just skip forward and say a former national president, Aka Ikenga, an Igbo intellectual think tank, okay, Dr. Sylvia Ebigwe, said the position of Jonathan on national dialogue is worth commending, insisting that the various condemnations and distractions in the polity, particularly the divided governors forum and crisis in the PDP, are all geared towards 2015 politics. He warned that those trying to destabilize Jonathan might be ignorant of the fact that they may not have a country called Nigeria to rule if they frustrate a peaceful dialogue to determine how the country will run. So I'm trying to balance everything up. And now, Governor of Niger State and Chairman of the Northern State Governors Forum, Dr. Muazu Babanguda Aliyu, who is the Governor of Niger State, said that despite pronouncement of some Nigerians, the northern part of the country is not opposed to the convocation of a national conference to discuss problems bedeviling the country. What the region is against, however, according to him, is a sovereign national conference that could lead the country into having dual sovereign entities. That means that we have the National Assembly, which is supposed to make laws for us, and then we have the sovereign national conference, whose word also becomes law. said Aliyu, many people are trying to make it look as if northern states are afraid of the conference. We are not. Let us come and talk. Let us come and look at our problems. If it means restructuring the country, let us come and do it. But we must not be unwinked. If people want to secede, let them secede. Then we see under which constitution they are seceding. And you indulge me for about 5 minutes more, because I really want us to fully understand what has been going on and not just talk out of ignorance. And so let me just pick some other ones. I have quite a lot here, but I will pick some other ones. Tinubu, this is Tinubu. National Dialogue is a deception, fruitless jamboree. It was published November. All the other ones were in October, and the committee had already started work. Of course, we also knew what happened when the committee went to Delta State, no, to Edo State rather, where there was an altercation between the governor of Edo State and Colonel Tony Iyan, where he tried to shut the governor up, and because of that, he was sacked in quotes from the committee. Now, this is Tinubu, former Lagos State Governor and National Leader of All People's Congress, APC, Senator Bola Tinubu, has again advised that the proposed national conference should be jettisoned, describing it as a deception that will lead to nowhere. Tinubu instead suggested that Jonathan should adopt the recommendation of the 2005 National Political Reform Conference, initiated by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and expunge the third term provision contained in it. Tinubu's suggestion was contained in his latest statement on the move for a national conference, said adopting the 117 recommendations of the Political Reform Conference set up under the then President Olusegun Obasanjo will not only save the nation's scarce resources, but will ensure that the efforts of the accomplished and experienced Nigerians who participated in the conference are not in vain. Then he went on. Let me just quote him now. And he said, surely there is mischief in the air. This is a pointless and needless distraction. I call on President Jonathan to abandon this fruitless path. Let him forward the 118 recommendations of the 2005 National Political Reform Conferences minus the toxic third term provision, accompanied by the report of the Justice Belgore Committee and the input of the Mohammed Adoke Committee for the consideration of the National Assembly as part of its ongoing constitution amendment process. The former governor, along with other leaders of APC, distanced themselves from the proposed national dialogue, describing the proposal as a deception and great gift, which must be viewed with utmost caution and suspicion. And then it goes on and on and on and on and on. Okay, like I said, I'm still trying to balance this up. This is from the Punch newspaper of November 12. It says ACF Northwest governors disagree on national dialogue. ACF being the Arewa Consultative Forum, which some people view as the umbrella body for northern politicians. The Arewa Consultative Forum on Monday disagreed with some governors from the Northwest geopolitical zones on the federal government's plan to organize a national dialogue conference. While the governors, including Rabi Kwapato of Kano State, described the proposed dialogue as ill-timed and politically motivated, the ACF said it would solve some of the country's problems. Kwakwanso, while presenting the position of the state to the Presidential Advisory Committee, okay, the Presidential Advisory Committee was inaugurated on October 7th, and so they had already started their work. Kwakwanso, while presenting the position of the state to the Presidential Advisory Committee on National Conference led by Chairman Senator Femi Okoromu in Kaduna on Monday, noted that whether national dialogue or sovereign or whatever, the state is vehemently opposed to it. And we must also take into cognizance the fact that Rabi Kwakwanso is a PDP governor. Okay? The same party with the president who initiated the idea. Jigawa State shunned the committee meeting, which was designed for stakeholders in 4 states of the Northwest zone of Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, and Jigawa to present their views on the conference. However, the Pan-Northern Socio-Political Organization, ACF, did not share the position, as it said that the national conference would discuss some issues, particularly the collapse of national ideals and moral values. The forum, in the submission to the committee, noted that it had always been the position of the ACF that the security and the socio-economic challenges in Nigeria has more to do with the collapse of national ideals, moral values, and fall in social contract amongst individuals and groups. And then it goes on and on and on. Let me just read another relevant passage of what they said. The forum hopes some issues that agitate the minds of some Nigerians will be deliberated upon the conference. The Northern body also proposed that representations to the conference should be selected from 774 local government councils of Nigeria through election. Okay, the process the forum argued will bring about equity in the representation, that no local government in the country will be left out. The ACF, however, said the conference should be inaugurated not later than January next year. Okay, and then this is from Punch, and this is someone's article to discuss the national dialogue, and it said President Jonathan has yielded to the desire. This is Vanguard rather, of October 14. President Jonathan has yielded to the desire of many for a national dialogue. Many who in the past found the embers of tribalism, nepotism, disunity in Nigeria has already prepared for a showdown at the national meeting. The meeting should essentially be how to remove the nation's economy from the hands of politicians. Even before the 13-member committee headed by a chieftain of Afenifere, Senator Kuromu, started meeting, those who do not see anything good about Nigeria have gone to work with the hope of not giving the dialogue a chance. And then it goes on and on and on and on. And then this is also something from online, because we have a very, very vibrant online political movement that is always discussing about stuff. This is by someone called Ogunyemi Bukola, and it titles it Path to a Better Nigeria, National Monologue Before National Dialogue. And when I read part of it, I took excerpts which I will share with you, and after that we will start the discussion. It starts with a quote from the Bible. It says, "So then, we may no longer be children, tossed like ships, to and fro between chance gusts of teaching and wavering with every changing wind of doctrine, the prey of cunning and cleverness of unscrupulous men, gamblers in every shifting form of trickery, in inventing errors to mislead." Now it goes on to say, I'll just share three paragraphs from here. The above is an amplified version of an admonition by Paul, the apostle, to the people of Ephesus over 2,000 years ago. I believe it's an admonition Nigerians need at the time they find themselves at the mercy of a government intent on tossing them like ships to and fro between chance gusts of ill-thought policies and every ever-changing wind of divisive agenda. Independence Day speeches in Nigeria are as unmemorable as the people who write them. The last one was no exception, except that at the time when crude oil theft has risen to 400,000 barrels per day, when Boko Haram attacks have resurfaced in more gruesome manner, when rumors of a collapsing economy are rife, when universities and polytechnic lecturers are on strike, good luck, Jonathan's government needed a distraction, something to get Nigerians talking about everything but the things that matter. Enter national dialogue. And then it goes on to say the rhetorical recommendations of a national dialogue, keyword there, rhetorical, are the last thing Jonathan needs to listen to at the moment. He should listen to the cry of 11 million malnourished Nigerian children, the danger of 10 million out of school Nigerian children, the griefs of relatives of the estimated 3,600 lives taken by Boko Haram since 2009, the sufferings of 112.5 million Nigerians living in poverty, the frustration of 40 million unemployed Nigerians. These are issues Jonathan should commit himself to in the immediate before we dialogue about the future. Let me just stop there. Okay. So these are things that people have said. Some for, some against. Some said that yes, we need to sit down. Some say no, we've already talked about already. So what I'm interested in right now is what you people think. Okay. And like I said before, other people came in. Let me just restate this. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship, and I'm the dictator. Okay. So that means that when you want to speak, just signify, I will acknowledge you, and then when there is chance, I will call on you, and then you speak. And this is what you do when you want to speak. You introduce yourself by your first names, and you tell us the last books you've read, maximum up to 3. You understand? That is the motivation. So I don't know if anybody wants to open the floor, or I should use my dictatorial power to call on anybody. Everybody is feeling shy. This is not the place to be shy. This is the national. This is the dialogue. Please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fred, and I'm currently reading the law of attraction. Thank you. According to the topic, national dialogue. What's the next one? It's a question mark.
To what purpose?
To what purpose? Thank you very much. See, in my research, I want us to understand one particular thing. Virtually everybody in Nigeria today is angry. That's a good fact. What is a dialogue? simply a discussion. Do you understand? See, many steps have been taken in history to convert this. I found out something. When our leaders, when they are fighting for independence, what they are really after them is just to take the mantle of leadership from the British government. Of course, they did it perfectly well. But we never sat down and think of how do we want us to be governed. We said we want democracy. That is what all of us we are all clamoring for. We said we need democracy, we want to be governed. And the general definition of democracy, we said the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Sir, when was the last time we sat down to discuss how originally we want to be governed? Let me go this way. 1966, during the former military, this I think it's Gowon regime then. Something of such was set up then to discuss whether Nigeria should be governed, maybe it is federal or confederal. The government then, I think from what I read, they meant well. But you and I know that anything that comes from the military, what do we call it? We said it is illegal. So it was cancelled. That was that. The next one, I think that came up. Let me check my. Sorry. Okay. The next one came up. That was 1994. To discuss the annulment. Actually, what that led to that the 1994 conference was the annulment of 1993 election. Do you understand? There was no genuineness. And secondly, the military government cancelled. Because even at the end of that conference, the head of that government then actually displayed the legality of the government. So you can't reckon with that. The third one, when they set it up, I must say, to some extent, they displayed at the initial stage, they displayed some level of sincerity. But when we all got to understand that the main thing behind it was short-term agenda, it was scattered. I would say that happens to be the only legitimate one, but with bad intention. Yes. As we are in Nigeria today, as I've said earlier, virtually everybody in Nigeria is angry, seriously angry. Talking of Boko Haram, talk of just name it, ethnic and religious fanaticism. So what do you want to say? The best way, I would say, there is a highly need for a national deliberation, for dialogue, or what do you call it in Nigeria now. But the question mark is this. If you check the difference we pass across, we should answer the pretext question. The last question there, I didn't put anything. The reason why is, how can we say whether they are sincere or not? That is the question mark. Nobody can say it.
Okay, so what you are saying now is that the purpose cannot be discussed until we know the sincerity of the government.
So, exactly as we are now, I will advise Nigerians to give these people a chance. We can't be judging the end from the beginning. Something we don't see.
Thank you.
I want us
just round up.
All right. The criticism, the support, and all those things, well, they are normal. Some are political, some are sincere. But I will advise us, let's just give this people. For this time, let's have faith. Let's give them that benefit for now.
Let's have faith. Thank you very much. Sorry. First name.
I'm Ali Ajayi. I'm very
the last one.
The last one. Let me say art of seduction.
Art of seduction. What green?
Yes. Well, what I would say is there is a need for a national dialogue. What is dialogue? What we are doing here is also dialogue. And why I'm saying there is a need is just the fact that, considering the situation of this country at this moment, the Boko Haram is there, the ethnical issue is there, the regional issue is there, my brother must be there, this person must not be there. Let's leave politics aside. The country is not one. And based on my opinion, I will believe that our past leaders contributed to it, though not everyone will agree. Because right from the onset, we knew we were not one. I would like to take us back to the first anthem at independence. It said, Nigeria we hail thee, a native motherland, though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Let me stop there. Look at that. You know we are not what? One, but just trying to bring ourselves together. As a result of what? The handiwork of the colonialists, the British. So, when there was clamor for independence, some were ready 1957. Some said they were not ready. But when you watch or when you look at it critically, I know what I want to say might not really go down well with us, especially the Yorubas. We were ready, according to our leader, or let me say our leaders. The Igbos were ready, but the Northerners said they were not ready. But there was no much agitation for us to stand alone. This is it. At the African level, they were trying to play what? African politics, Pan-Africanism, Kwame Nkrumah, and others. So our leaders then, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and so on, Obafemi Awolowo, were afterwards the Pan-African. That was their agenda, sorry to say. Because when you look at the internal politics between the two of them, you get to see that they were all after a what? A British Empire. Not after their nation. That was why I said, sorry to say. Do you understand? So what I now discovered is that we came together based on the fact that we know we never trusted ourselves. And that was what led to the 1966, to the 1967 Civil War. So, in short, what I'm trying to say now is that it's necessary. The national dialogue is necessary. Why there is suspicion is just because of power, politics. It's as a result of power and politics. Let's leave that politics aside. As it said, they said, politicians think about the next election, but statesmen or statesmen thinks about what? The future generation. So let's leave the issue of the election and look at our future. If Nigeria should be one, let it be one. If it's not one, let it not be. Not the issue of where some people will be taken to arms to kill in the name of not wanting a one Nigeria. So based on that, I would say, and I'm still saying that the national dialogue, you should give them a chance. Thank you.
So two people saying you should give them a chance.
Good morning, ladies. I will say ladies, because I think that there is another thing. The name is Papa Niga. I'd like to refer
the last book you read. Yes.
Well, I'll say the last lecture, and then the thoughts of Awolowo because of this national conference of the thing. My mind through cruising and all the bits of Awolowo. Well, on a more serious note, I think I like the idea of either this talk, this dialogue, this conference, workshop, or whatever this forum is. And you might not know how serious this dialogue is going to be, because you can be very sure. I met somebody I think I know, an SSS. There, he was asking me, I said, me too, I do that, I'm here for it, but I don't know where it is. So I went up only to talk. The man is still there, though the man might still be fortunate to come around. If he comes and the guy see me, he will just sit for some minutes and you'll get an update from me, you can show that. So that's just to show. I saw small people changing whatever. I think that's nice. Well, on national dialogue on Nigeria, I would like to talk on two things: the Nigerian issue and the national dialogue. Well, I would like to say Nigeria is not only a misnomer. Nigeria is never a nation. I would have even loved to say Nigeria is never a country, but wherever there is a governing authority, there is a passport, there is a geographical whatever, we tend to see it's a country. The only thing, I don't believe, I used to believe
that the nation Nigeria will never survive. But no, I think I have a change of opinion not up to 2 weeks ago. After reading, while reading on Awolowo, which is my only prophet now, I found out that Nigeria as an entity will continue to flourish and live. So much, the only binding thing, binding us together, the only cement, corruption. For example, I will always aspire in my going to school. I found out that the majority of Nigerians never aspire to be anything. Even they never aspire to be the professional they want to aspire to. But they aspire to be the governor, the senator, or the president. So I think, by God's grace, when the quantity, the value corruption is still at stake, Nigeria will always stay. Forget the Boko Haram. When people are giving money, they will tell the president, we will talk to Boko Haram. They will fish out the Boko Haram if they are giving enough money. You can always discountenance me. They got Osama $25 million let somebody go. When the greed factor, the corruption is there, Nigeria will always win. What of Nigeria without the greed factor? That is where we all become security rich. If Nigeria should be one, let us look at, if Nigeria should be without corruption, let us look at it differently. I mean seriously, are we going to exist if there should be no corruption? Are we going to, no, we might exist, are we going to like the nation Nigeria? A nation where I will depend on my salary alone. A nation where, I will not be able to oppress my fellow guy. A nation where people will not know that I have a bigger deal. So let's look at it. Then on national dialogue, just let me, I think I got these 5 things. People have been saying, yes, I believe in national dialogue. I'm an outcast, but I don't believe in the nation Nigeria. But there are 5 things. 1, will the national, will they have authority? Will it have inclusivity? That is, are we going to be involved? Is it not going to be the 70-year plus that will be involved? Will my group be involved? Then legitimacy. At the end of the day, are we not going to have a talk shop? Then validity. Whatever is said there, even if it is said by those 70-year plus, are they going to subject it to referendum? I believe that if some people wanted Sharia, let them have it. If some people wanted Ogun, let them have it. Then I believe are we going to be reasonable? I'm an outcast, but I will always support a situation where, if possible, close to 97% derivation. It is not fair on me. Yoruba, to sit here for my governor to be building road using Niger Delta money. And it is not fair on me for my best brain doctors, lawyer, and everything to be trained and yet to be serving Niger Delta for free. At least I know how much they are being paid in South. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just say this. A philosopher once said that there is enough money for everybody's need on planet Earth, but there is not enough money for just one person's greed. Talking about the corruption that he said. The Stone Age did not end for lack of stone. The oil age will not end for lack of oil. Oil is fueling the corruption. When the world moves to a better and cleaner energy, we listen to it on the news all the time. Clean energy, all this one. What will happen? Will we have enough money to pay everybody off like we did the Niger Delta militants, and they are thinking about doing to Boko Haram militants? Okay, and he also raised one question, something that I wanted to talk about. Yes, age factor. Well, I think it is actually noteworthy that none of the members of the advisory committee is less than 45 years old. We should also know that none of them is less than 45 years old. I think we should also note that it seems that the young ones are not. They don't expect that. Nigeria's population statistics states that the population of people 35 years old and less is actually about half Nigeria's population. And so it might just turn out to be the case of the Anambra election, where only 170,000 people are determining what will happen to 1.7 million people. Sorry, you have the floor. Sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Barrister Kisanya. I'm of the view that
Last book we read,
the thing around the neck,
Chimamanda.
Chimamanda Adichie.
Ngozi Adichie.
I'm of the view that national dialogue is important at this stage of our national affairs. But I think it's not going to solve all of our problems, and I think it is ill-conceived. The rationale behind it is deceit. Now, I'll just talk about why I think it is necessary at this point. In every association, like it has been said before, there are ground rules. There are what we know as terms of contract. There are bind parties. There are bind parties in a country, parties that come together. Now, in the case of Nigeria, we all know that Nigeria was amalgamated for economical reasons by the British Empire then. At that time, since that time, Nigeria has never been one. And subsequently, there has never been a meeting where parties have come together to deliberate on the terms that will guide, that will dictate their togetherness. Now, the national dialogue now, at this stage, is essential for some reasons. Let me say, since there have never been ground rules, people have the parties, like this gathering we have now, we have ground rules. If you think you cannot abide by these ground rules, you can walk out. But in the situation of Nigeria, where where an ethnic group want to secede, want to break out, and you will not allow such an ethnic group, and then the ethnic group have never really sat down with you to decide on the terms that will govern him and you to coexist. Now, such a relationship can never work. It will never work. The 1999 Constitution, for example, like he said, was promulgated under Decree 24. It was produced under 155 days. When Abacha died, Abiola died, and there was a plan to go back to democracy, and they just called on this Justice Nikitobi to go produce a constitution so that Obasanjo can have one on his chest when he's swearing in. And he just went about, there was little or no consultation, and the constitution was produced. Now, such constitution cannot bind a country as diverse as ours. Now, we know we have the National Assembly that make laws for the country. But in situation where we have found ourselves, the national dialogue becomes essential for some very important issues in this country. For example, one, let's look at the issue of revenue allocation. Let's look at the issue of salaries of legislators and executives. The legislators cannot say, a legislator cannot stand up today and say that the salary I'm collecting is too much. Let us reduce it. It is not possible. It is through dialogues like this. Even if we are not directly, even if we are going to produce a constitution through this dialogue, and we are not going to put it directly inside it, this is what we can make provisions on guidelines that would guide what a legislator and executive will handle. Now, issues like that, we have issues like revenue control, issues like immunity clause, issues like recall of the legislature. The president will not approach the House of Assembly and say, please remove my immunity clause. And we know this immunity clause is controversial. The process of recalling, the process of recalling a legislature, for example, is tedious under our current constitution. And we have so many senators that are not doing anything. They have not sponsored a bill. And you cannot recall them, because they'll tell you to go conduct a referendum to third of the people in the senatorial districts will have to vote this and that. This is why I think a national dialogue is essential to address some of these issues at this point in time.
So, sorry, should we now say, okay, because the interlocution is national dialogue to what purpose? You told us the purpose. So should we give it a chance? Are you saying
yeah, I think we should give it a chance.
Okay.
We'll give it a chance.
It seems everybody, yeah, although I know I will still talk, but so far it seems everybody is saying that we should give the national dialogue a chance. Then, if you are to give the national dialogue a chance, so why the noise? What's the noise all about? Okay, so I just want subsequent people to maybe talk on that. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Now, personally, I believe that national dialogue is not what is needed for Nigeria at this point in time. Now, I'll explain what I mean by that. Over time, I've been watching, I've been hearing things, what people have been saying. Now, for some time now, students have been at home. You know how many hungry Nigerians are roaming the street around. And then on Independence Day, our president just woke up and then he decided that, our president is full of surprises anyway. And then he woke up and said that a national dialogue. Then I posed myself, I said, to what purpose? What exactly is this man looking for? Now, we know that 2015 election is just really near the corner. And I believe this is just a political gimmick. Now, you don't dialogue when people are hungry. Who will go there for the dialogue? Rich people, the elites. Who are those people that will constitute national dialogue? And who are those people that will sit at the round table and say, let us decide the fate of Nigerians? Now, over time in Nigeria, we have discovered that only a minute, a tiny minute part of the population determine the fate of everybody. Now, if the national dialogue were to be on a Kuto market, would anybody in Kuto market leave where they are selling and then go for the national dialogue? No, what I'm saying in essence is that if we know that national dialogue is for the betterment of Nigerians, and Nigerians at the grassroots level will not be included in that dialogue, then there is no point. People who constitute the committee are intellectuals. Now, no person who can say, okay, I eat, I can only afford to support myself 20 naira per day. There are not people like that there. But people who are fed, people who are okay, are people who constitute the committee. Now, the first reason is insincerity of purpose by the government. That's the first reason I'm not supporting it at all. Because over time, I believe that less than 15 months or thereabouts to 2015 election, now Jonathan wants to be our president. Sorry if I'm making you use it that way. We want to bring a platform whereby all of us come together and say, this man has been doing this, okay, let's come and sit down together and discuss what. Now, you don't need to dialogue on why people are hungry when you have a plan, an economic plan that can boost agriculture in the country. You don't dialogue on such issues. Why do you need to dialogue on security? What you have security mean? What exactly are you saying? Now, over time, I believe that dialogue sometimes. Look at the current ASU strike. Why do you need to dialogue an agreement that you signed by yourself? Where you know you can actually do something. So you are calling, you keep calling, yet you have something to say. At first you gave them a particular amount of money, you say you release this, then I wonder what is the rationale behind it. As if it's just a game. This dialogue to me is just a game of politicians, a game of saying let Nigerians come together. Now the second thing, said exclusiveness and inclusiveness policy. Who are those that will sit? Who are those that will sit that day? I am telling you, if it falls on a day where Kuto market is holding, nobody in Kuto market will go to Aso Rock or wherever the national dialogue is holding for any dialogue. Whereas the outcome of that dialogue will affect the people even in the remote part of this country. And also, let me say this, thank God we have legal minds here. Now, I know there is no provision in the constitution that actually calls anything sovereign national conference or thereabouts. Now, I'm not so sure anyway, but I know to an extent that there is nothing in the constitution that says that the president, I'm not saying it is wrong for him to do that, but there is nothing saying that the president should organize any national dialogue. However, if this can be inculcated into the constitution, no problem. But as you rightly said, some issues need to be charged, and the issues that matters as regards this national dialogue are issues that borders on the existence of Nigeria as a country, not on security issues, not on food issues. So what I believe personally is that even if you are going to dialogue at all, dialogue on the basis where we are all sitting together as a country, not dialogue on the security issues in this country. No, we don't do that. Now, personally, lastly, I believe that Nigeria as a country right now needs a responsible government. Now, a government that sits there without doing anything, for me, is not a government. Now, let our government be responsible. When people can eat, people are well fed. If you want to discuss the betterment of their country, they will come forward. But when people are hungry, when people have lost confidence in government, And then you are now trying a cover-up plot to bring some people together and say it's a national dialogue or national conference. You need conference on constitutional issues, not on social, economic, and political issues. Don't bring socio-political issues into national conference. What you need it for is just to amend the constitution for agitating members of the public, like interest of the minority, what people are saying. That's all, not some security issues. So I believe it's just a political plot. Thank you.
Yeah, I am Olai. The last book I read was a study into political analysis and inquiry by Dr. Bamshire. With respect, let me go a little bit historical.
Sorry, as a detector, I'm just setting time limits for everybody now. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, with respect, from my point of view, the national dialogue of the country is very, very good idea. But at the time it was no, I won't accept it. Because at this period, we are nearing the 2015 general election, in which people will see this national dialogue from President Jonathan as a plot. Is it a plot to add a feather to his cap, so to say? Because I can't see any duration between now and 2015 that will give the chance for implementation, so to say, the end implementation that the committee brings forth. 1954 constitutional dialogue gave rise to the 1960 independence. 2005-2006, Obasanjo brought out a national dialogue committee, but it was majorly kicked out by the Hausas when they got to know that Obasanjo was trying to maneuver into the constitution in order to pave way for his third-term agenda. This, with due respect, going by that, I don't think this national dialogue can bring anything. Thank you.
I still remain myself and you are the I believe we don't need to be we don't need to be suspicious. The dialogue has not started. The committee constituted is just to work on the frame at which the dialogue will exist. One thing we need to know is if you fail to go for dialogue and there is crisis, you still go back to dialogue. You still go back to dialogue. So, and that is why I said we just don't need to judge whether we trust, and even the time frame. I believe it's only the politicians that see it on that level, say time close to 2015. If it's successful, it's going to be to his credit, and if it's to his credit, that means he's going to win the election. And one thing I want us to know, if Jonathan leaves now, another president comes in, let's say from the north or wherever in Nigeria, if he still wants to consider that dialogue, we will still say the same thing. And the main problem of this country, as he said, is what? The ground norm, the constitution, is faulty. And you cannot operate in a bad system. No matter how good you are, the structures are there to bring you down. So until when we'll now come together to say, now, we said we are practicing federalism, but it's not true federalism. Now, let's practice true federalism. If you want Sharia over there, operate it over there. If you want, just like the penal code and the criminal code, let's just find a way at which we are next. If it's regional, let's do it. So based on that, my point is that we shouldn't judge. The committee is just there to work on the frame at which the conference. So the issue of suspicion, when we continue suspecting ourselves, we'll never move forward. Thank you.
I still mean Joseph, and then I said the last book I read was Things Fall Apart and Kind of Prejudice. Anyway, I want to take an objection to what he said now. Why do you have to be suspicious? The foundation is faulty. If the foundation is destroyed, what can the writers do? It is now that we can shout. And then the moderator said something earlier. He said that, okay, we all are saying that we should give them a chance, we should give them a chance. Then why are we shouting? We are shouting because we have seen the way, that there is no way forward. Initially, everybody was enthusiastic about the national dialogue. Thank God, there's going to be dialogue. Even my grandmother's village, who is not educated, she was happy. There's going to be a dialogue. But immediately the president said it should be sent to the National Assembly. The enthusiasm was killed. What is the difference between national dialogue and constitutional amendment? If it will be sent to the National Assembly, you can't tell you can't ask a fish which is better between the water and the land. It's not in the best position to tell us that. You can only ask people. And that is the problem. Then, the moderator said when he was reading the first article from the newspaper, and then the only thing I could pick was this. Depending on it and all these stories we are seeing, Either the national dialogue will be profitable or not depends on how it will be handled. He said earlier on that, okay, people in our age are not there. Yes, that's another faulty area of national dialogue. I'm trying to go into the culture. You will say, Omodegbo, Agbagbon, Tafida, Ibu. Eh? I'm sorry to see, some people are old-fashioned. Our elderly ones are old-fashioned. Even what some of us know now, our parents don't look at it from that perspective. Then, the nomenclature of national dialogue will determine its success. Everybody was enthusiastic in national dialogue. Even from the onset, the amalgamation of Nigeria was faulty. Let me liken into a marriage. Okay, nobody wants his or her parents to force him into marriage. Okay, ordinarily two people, a husband and a wife, if they are forced into a marriage, there will be a problem. Now spoke of 389 ethnic groups being forced and then now sitting down for a discussion on how the betterment of this country can be brought about. It's a problem. I believe the president is using this national dialogue to achieve his own diabolical act. I'm telling you, he wants to pave his way into Aso once again. He wants to use it to divert people's attention away from the problems that are ongoing in this country. I think national dialogue is essential, but Jonathan's national dialogue is not. Thank you.
My name is Abeokuta Leadersmine. Well, actually, my point of view is that national dialogue is not needed because if you look at all over Nigeria, we have government machineries that their potentials have not truly been harnessed. Look at the ministries, look at the parastatals, as they can do so much more if the right machineries have been placed in. So when you are talking about national development, I felt surprised. We have 2020 million development goals. Why would you have goals set for 2020 and all of a sudden in between just okay, no, let's sit down and start talking again? So what was the point of initiating the million development goals if that means the million development goals were just another to cover up something? But I think I would like to use security as my pointer. For example, borrowing from the US, they have a lot of intelligence agencies that they make sure that a lot of US citizens go to bed at night and sleep well. If Nigeria can get to copy from this, get a lot of training for these people, let them know a lot about security and intelligence. For example, now, how were they able to capture Osama bin Laden? They followed him for almost 10 years. Nobody knew. If you can find people who are willing to do these things, you can train them, build them, and before you know it, the insurgencies in the country will end. So I think national dialogue is not the way forward. What I think is the government should put more life into the machineries of government and work hard to make progress. Thank you.
I want to exhibit a little bit of my dictatorial tendencies, and so I will call on the two ladies to talk, because this is not just talk for men. This is a talk for Nigerians, and they are Nigerians, and they are here, and they must talk, they must dialogue by force. All right, so I will start with the other lady. Your name, the books you've read recently, and 2 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Oluwafunke. The last book I read, Possibility Thinkers. Let me say, the national dialogue can prove helpful, but to me, I think the problem started from 1914 when the main tree tribe in Nigeria was amalgamated, and since then, let me say, they have not yet understood each other. Like, there is no agreement between the three tribes since then. The main thing for them to do now is try to understand each other, and let me say, in the sense that they don't really know each other. We don't understand ourselves, and for the past 99 years now, after the amalgamation, I think what is needed now is a good governance, and we should try to understand each other first. After that, the national conference or dialogue can be held.
Angela Jesu by name. the last book I read, Ake, by Professor Wole Soyinka. When talking of national dialogue, we all know what national dialogue is meant to be. We all know the categories of people who are meant to be in that kind of sitting or forum. But talking of national dialogue in Nigeria today, like people have said, I count it a waste of time. One of the dictator was talking all the time, he said something out of his exam, he said, relevant stakeholders. Where are they? That goes to show that in Nigeria today, some people are regarded as irrelevant. And even to call a national dialogue, and we're saying we want relevant stakeholders to be there, then it means not all Nigerians is expected to be a part of that kind of development. So in Nigeria, we are saying some people are relevant, some people are not relevant, then it means they are not actually making a way of national dialogue. So for me, for now, in Nigeria, national dialogue shouldn't be a thing we'll be talking about.
Saying that it has no purpose. Okay, I'm the dictator. Now the issue is, I can see, sorry, how many people still want to talk? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some people are here and they've not spoken. And so I will start with them. After those ones have spoken, I will give my own opinion in my personal capacity. And then I'll raise some other important questions. So I'll start with you. You have to.
Actually, okay, book. Actually, it wasn't a book. It's a tract by Jehovah's Witness, Mankind Self. In 2006, Obasanjo, a pro-national conference committee was set up there, led by late Chief Anthony. And they actually combined some of, as after the committee, the report, as in they have a lot of content that address national issues. But then at the end of the day, the whole content was put to a dustbin, written because of the third time agenda. But I'm in support of national dialogue only if it will pave way for a country where rule of law with a parameter, then rights will be defended by the Constitution. There will be a liberty and justice for everybody. It's not as if we have a machinery for it to work, but only if we are going to address certain issues. The questions as what will be the components of this? Who will constitute it? Are we going to be fully represented? Before I was born, they said youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Today, I've not seen any youth being the leaders of this country. And I know in the next generation too, these same people who call themselves the mafias, the Kaduna mafias, they will still be the one ruling. They keep on going, they keep on replacing themselves with their young ones. Is there any chance for us, the youth? Do we have a means of voicing our own concerns? Go into the streets. You see a lot of people, the youngs, walking around the streets. You see our young girls going about prostituting. Is there any means? Is there any way the government can harness all these people, provide the solution to it? No. Then I see that the stakeholders, are we going to be fully represented? No. If these issues are not fully, if these issues, the questions are not fully provided solution to, then I think national conference is just a waste of time.
Good morning, everyone. I'm honoring the Tolu, and let me say I read While We Struck. It's a very, very unfamiliar book. I believe so. National dialogue, to what purpose? I've ruminated over this topic for some time, but I don't think there's any need for a national dialogue to whatever reason or to whatever essence it is being put up. And the reason why I'm saying this is we have leaders that are as old as grandfathers, great-grandfathers, who are yet to even decide when they want to leave and rest. They are still in power and they will still continue to. We are all youths, let me say that. Everyone here is a youth, and we have senators, we have House of Representatives, members, we have all of them there. And we're still talking about national dialogue. So what purpose are they there? That is just the question I'm yet to get an answer to. If they are there to solve the problems of this nation, then this topic, national dialogue, is just a gimmick by someone, like someone said, which is just like diverting from the main road, trying to cut corners, trying to just beat around the bush, just to like satisfy their own selfish interest, which will later on affect all of us. But I just want an answer to what the leaders that are there presently are doing. They know there's a faulty constitution. They know there's so many things wrong. So bringing up a national dialogue at this time is just rubbish to me. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Olapin Sani. The last book I read was on children. But I can remember there was a time I read the book Soldiers of Fortune. I forgot but it has to do with the era of Buhari to Babangida. But what struck me, why I keep remembering that book was there are some factors that were mentioned in that book and that still applies to most of our politicians today. Like most of them wants to get to the top, not because of what they want to do for the country, but because of what they want to get from the country, from the resources there. I agree that the national dialogue is essential at this time. Is essential at this, in quotes. Because I want to disagree with my brother that when everything gets right, that's when we need to call a national dialogue. Don't call national dialogue. There's no need to dialogue when everything is right. It is only when things are not right that there is need for all these things. So, there are certain quotes because the issues surrounding the national dialogue, which all of us have been mentioning, are not right. The politics, the formation of the committees, all of that things are not right. So for what purpose? I think is right. I don't know, because it's very right for me. For what purpose? Is it for us? Is it for the politicians? Is it for, because the society is of different status, and so for what purpose to me, what are we going to achieve by this? So I'm just taking my time to see what we are saying there so that I can. I'm enjoying this.
Yes, everybody wants to speak. If we continue this way, because this is a very serious issue, it goes to the core and the soul of the nation. We will not leave this place for the next 6 hours. So I will use my supreme power as a dictator, and I was going to end this discussion soon. It's actually a time-bound discussion that is supposed to go for about 15 minutes or so, and we've eaten deep into our time. However, I would like to also state in my personal capacity what I think. You haven't spoken, yes. Sorry, 2 minutes.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Femi Odushino. Okay. I'm still with a book now. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yes. Can I do without mic?
No, you can't.
Thank you. Let me commend the organizer of this event. Honestly, this is what we need, especially at a time like this. The topic, I think, national dialogue. What purpose? National dialogue. From recent events in Nigeria now, it is very, very obvious that we need national dialogue. I support that. But the time, like everybody has said, is wrong. And we want to ask, what are the reasons we need national dialogue for? I say we need to know, or we need certain, okay, let me say we need it for things like we are practicing federalism. So we talk an issue like fiscal federalism, state police, issue of indigenship. If you can recollect, look at what is happening in Anambra State now between Ngige, APC, and ABGA. Look at the deportation saga of Lagos and Anambra. Okay, well, so we need national conference in order to sort out this thing. Fiscal federalism. Each state, we don't need to go to Abuja every month to collect allocation. Each state should be able to manage its internal resources. We need state police, whereby, look at case of Amechi and Jonathan. So we need national conference, but what are the purpose? That is another issue entirely.
Okay, let me quickly speak. Yes. Okay. I'm a benevolent dictator, don't worry.
As a way of moving whatever we have been saying all this while, I'd like to know, since thank God you said you have a legal mind there, now we have exhausted our own thing. They've done it in Akure and Lagos. We were told not to go there, that those that are there are renegade. So I'd like to know, how do leadersmine, or whatever you call yourself, how do you put up a memorandum to the committee? And how do you do it? You must do it if you want me to take you serious.
Which is one of the reasons why when you came in, we had a vote. We are having the stock. After we finish, we'll have a vote and an assessment also. Okay? And so all these things will be compiled. You understand? And it is to a purpose, and the purpose is plain and open, and it is to us to lend a voice to our... Don't forget who a leader is. A leader is simply someone who leads people to where they will not normally go to. And you don't necessarily have to be in the forefront to do that. You can affect things at the back and make things happen from the back. And that is one of the things that we... So don't worry, it's one of the things that are seriously on the agenda. All right, let me just speak on my own personal. I will speak using three epochal moments in Nigeria. One is 1913. Now, Nigeria became a country. Nigeria came into existence. Nigeria was born January 1st, 1914, out of an administrative convenience. It was just to. Lugard was ruling 2 countries and 1 colony. And so so that his head will be saner, he just merged everything together. So it was like somebody having 100 naira in his pocket here, 200 naira in another pocket, and taking everything together and placing it in one pocket, 300 naira. It was for his administrative convenience. And so nobody consulted anybody to say, do you people want to be together? No, we were actually, the Yorubas were fighting a civil war. There was a Yoruba civil war when the British came and overran us. You understand? The Hausas were still fighting with us over Ilorin. And so everybody was still fighting with everybody. Yet the Britons came with their guns, bigger guns, and said, look, you are together. And then it also goes back to the 1886 Berlin Conference in Europe, where people sat down, white men, and said, look, this area is your own. Take. This area is your own. They didn't care to ask us whether we wanted to be together. And that is why, that's in my own personal opinion, I feel that all across Africa, people were made into forced marriages, and that has not worked. And that is why we have civil wars, famine, poverty across Africa. Nations were not allowed to grow organically like they did in Europe. And ditto can be said for South America also, where people were also forced together and fused together into a nation. And then we said we wanted independence. And we elected people, whether rigged or not, to go to the legislature to talk. So we had a legislature, the British were still ruling, but we had a legislature by Nigerians, and they were all talking there. And then Yorubas gained self-independence, everybody gained self-independence at different times, and they started ruling each other. And then they said, okay, we wanted, what's it called? We wanted independence. And in the Lancaster House Conference of 1957, Awolowo insisted that a procedure should be laid in the new constitution
whereby people that want to secede, you understand, there will be a laid down process. If you want to go, you can go. You understand? But it was fought against. That procedure was fought against by the Hausas, the Britons, and then later on by Nnamdi Azikiwe-led Igbos. And then fast forward again to so those 2 points. Okay, Nigeria was created out of administrative convenience. The process of self-determination was negated from the beginning. Nobody wanted anybody to be able to determine who they wanted themselves. And this led to the 1967 civil war, because the Igbos wanted to leave, there was no process for them to leave. Even the 1966 July 29 coup was to secede from Nigeria. The northern Nigerians wanted to succeed. It was Sade Tokunbo Ademola and the British High Commissioner that convinced them otherwise. And that was when they made Yakubu Gowon, who was not part of the coup, as the leader. And now, 2005, Obasanjo conducted a conference. To what purpose? Nothing. People came. People flew in from around the world. They talked on national television. It was publicized live. Everybody saw it. They talked and talked. At the same time, the pro-national conference were holding their own. They didn't have enough money to book time, but they held their own. These two have documents. When Yaradua came in, he instituted the Justice Belgore Committee to look at Nigeria, because he admitted that the process that brought him there was flawed, that it was governing over a flawed country. And then that committee report was taken. It was transferred to Muhammad Adeko's committee, which looked at it again, and then we have that. And so for me, the real question the national dialogue should ask, only one question for me, is should Nigeria continue? Because the initial charter that brought Nigeria together was signed for 100 years. And it's going to expire January 1, 2014. And so, nobody, I always say this, I have people friends all around, I have Hausa friends. If I and my Hausa friend will sit down and will say, look, today we'll just listen our family names, we'll start a new family, and we'll call ourselves George, or we'll call ourselves Rodriguez. 7 years down the line, nobody in the family will be fighting about, they didn't say that I should come here. You know, because my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, and all of us were not part of the people that said, let there be Nigeria. They were not part of the people that said, look, we the people of Nigeria, as stated in Nigerian 1990 Constitution. They were not part. Now, the issues that has been said to be discussed in the national dialogue, this present one for me, can be addressed by a duly constituted National Assembly. These people are collecting billions per year. Their job will not want to transfer it to another committee. To what purpose? These people, of course, they've been found to lack credibility. And that is why nobody is saying that they should be the ones to talk about it. The same process that produced them will now be the same process that should not institute the national dialogue. It will still be flawed. Even if people killed, somebody said, Kuto market. Of course, someone that if he doesn't go to work, he won't eat. If he doesn't go to his shop, he won't eat that day. Say he should come to Abuja to come and talk. Of course, he won't go. And that is my own personal position. Do Nigeria need a national dialogue? Yeah, I will say yes. Am I comfortable that this government, who have been flip-flopping since they came into existence, I can count a lot of things. Super Eagles will not play again in the international company. They said yes, and then they said no. Milag, Unilag, they said yes, they said no. I will increase point price by April. I did it in January. And do I trust this government? That's what I feel that the question boils down to. Do I trust this government to conduct a national dialogue that makes perfect sense, that I will submit myself to? And for me, personally, I'll say the question is no. I don't trust this government enough. And so, to wind out this discussion, I would pass the mic round for everybody, including our friend that just came in late. And for him, he will have 3 minutes to talk, okay, to state whether, one, is national dialogue important? Yes. If you say yes or no, you have 30 seconds to justify yourself. And then, do you think the government is sincere enough? Yes or no? You have 30 seconds to justify yourself. So everybody has 1 minute, okay? Including me. But for him, because he just came in, we'll give him 3 minutes to expand his own theory. Thank you. So I'll start with you. Your name, the last book you read, and then start.
My name is Olushome. The last book I read is okay. I read a lot of books at the go. So okay. The art of personal finance, which is financial. Then I read Warren Buffett, how to invest like Warren Buffett. So, okay, about the national dialogue question. I think the government is not sincere enough. According to you, they have been flip-flopping on policies continually. Jonathan does not know what he's doing, to me. Then there's nothing we are even bothering discussing, because the one we have discussed, they have not implemented it. So there's nothing.
Still doing national dialogue is of no importance to me. At this, the timing is not even the best. So to me, I think it's not. We don't need it now.
I still remain Joseph. Then I think concerning the national dialogue, there will always be a purpose. That's the mistake I don't want us to make, either a good or a bad purpose. Then we are talking about national dialogue. I want to make reference to section 14 subsection 2A of 1999 Constitution, which states that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from which the government, through this constitution, derives their power and authority. Who are the people? The we at the beginning of the constitution is rubbish. And then these people that they are saying that the sovereignty comes from them, they are being excluded during this national dialogue. Then what is the purpose? Then concerning the sincerity, we've all said that the present government is using it to pay their way into their own political ambition. So I don't think national dialogue of Jonathan is essential in this case, but we need a national dialogue. Thank you.
I still remain Angela Jesu, and like I rightly said earlier, I said national dialogue at this point in time in Nigeria is a waste of time. Still standing on that point, still standing on that basis, I say it's a big waste of time.
Yeah, I am Olaiton. In conclusion, from my perspective, the national dialogue is a very, very good thing. But as at the time it's over here, it's bad. I want us to take note of something: political apathy. In case, in case there is a need for national dialogue in subsequent times, I think one issue we should take off is political apathy. Plato once said, and I quote, he said, "People who think that are smart are being punished by being governed by dumb people." If there's a need for national dialogue in subsequent time, I think there should be emancipation of people around us, so that they really know the meaning of national dialogue. Take for example, the town meeting for this dialogue at Jos was attended by like let me say 15 or 14 people out of the whole of Jos. No, that's very bad. Thank you very much.
The national dialogue for now is not needed. They should try to deal with their personal issues. They should deal with themselves for now. That's the.
Thank you. Is the name. Well, whatever problem Nigeria is having today, you say corruption, this and that, you still need to sit down. That is the need for the national dialogue. That is that. Secondly, I want us to look at the system that brought Jonathan in, the election that brought him in. To me personally, I would say that happens to be the best election in the history of Nigeria. Quotes me anywhere. That is that. Number two, any government, this is a democracy, and we have 4 government 4 years for each what we call administration. It got in 2011. They are going by 2015. This is just 2013. Tell me, when is the right time? If not now. Thank you. So the last one. Talking about the youth that we are not being included in whatever they are doing in Nigeria. I want to ask us as youth, let's be sincere to ourselves. Are we sincere enough? Are we prepared? That's the second thing. And if we get there, are we going to do better? Thank you.
Hungry people don't sit. Poor people don't sit. Now, I believe that what Nigeria needs at this time is a responsible government and not some high people sitting at a particular place. A government that will save us from the shackles of bribery and corruption, tribalism, and tainted estimate of society that is ravaging our country. Thank you.
I would say that the national dialogue at this period is still essential. I will still stand on that. But the process is wrong. We just have to, where I would want us to keep agitating for is to ensure that the measurements that are being the measures that are being put in place to ensure that to achieve a good process, so that at the end of the day we know that what we want is what we get. And following what he had said earlier concerning the charter that brought the Nigeria entity together will be expiring in 2014. So that means there is need for national dialogue to ensure that do we still continue to exist as Nigeria or we go our separate ways. Thank you.
The name still remains Baba Shake. For once, I would like you to have a wall clock here so that we can do proper timing. Then the other one is this. I don't believe in national dialogue. But you know what? I'm constrained by reality. Head, we lose. Tail, we lose. So I would like to speak Yoruba. Toba ma fa ori mi. Toba ti fi mi si prison. Me an option on my far. I'm going to be shackled. Let me go willingly to be raped. So maybe I can enjoy the sex. Èmi á fẹ́ kí a lọ sí dialogue yẹn. A fẹ́ akọ. Ká lọ, ká sọ tẹnu wa. That is one. Then two, when it comes to sincerity, I believe that history has shown that process could be hijacked. The learning, they are called Bolshevik, they are the minority. They ended up being the majority. They are the minority. They are minority. They end up. So why are we having a defeatist attitude? Let us go there, hijack the process. Let us go there, hijack the process. Kidnap them there. It is possible. It is all politics. Lenin is an armed robber. But today you are using it for good. So then the last but not the least, on organization, you have done exceedingly well. But if you are doing this, if you are putting this up, this is where corruption starts. Number one, let's stop those stages. You can always ask. People like me, I don't take bottled water. This is further expense. And there are some things some people don't take, but you know you will have incur some 1 or 2 expenses. Thank you.
I still support the national conference, but like you all said, the sincerity of Jonathan administration, that's the problem. Thank you.
Okay, let me now talk in my own personal capacity again to round up, and then I will move on. In my personal capacity, if we need the national dialogue, yes. Do we have sincerity? No. He raised a very important point. Can the process be hijacked? Yes. The 1789 French Revolution started as a sitting of the bourgeoisie, the rich people. They sat down to determine how they were going to enjoy their wealth for the next 100 years. But the poor people at the gates made them start changing their mind. And it was they themselves started promulgating some various crazy laws. They were the ones setting their slaves free. When they saw that if they go out of that place without making same conclusions, they will lose their head. They ended up still losing their head anyway. Because an idea whose time has come, nothing can stop it. And so if we say the Nigerian people are not going to be represented, fine. Are the Nigerian people ready to throw away their own shackles and go there and say, look, you will not represent me this time. I will represent myself by fire, by force. That is the question. Thank you.
I still remain Ibara, and well, personally to me, I think national dialogue is not necessary for now because we still have a lot of resources, a lot of skills, manpower, a lot that has not been harnessed and used. So I think until we've reached the point where we think we have nothing left, then we can dialogue. But for now, Nigeria has, in fact, I think our potentials, we've not gone halfway. So until we've actually actualized our potentials, and it seems that we've come to a dead end, then we can now sit down and ask which way next. Thank you.
Like I said the other time, if those that are ruling us presently can't clearly define their purpose of ruling us, which is just to better the life of this country, then anything national dialogue is just rubbish. I want to remind us, let me ask, the oldest governor in Nigeria is how old now? Martin Elechi Ebonyi, where I served, and he's over 80. So my 1 year stay there, I didn't see any single improvements, which is still what will be happening as long as, okay, let me conclude. I'll just point to us. The only thing I think can solve our problem in this country is when you and I have a change of heart towards the incoming generation. All of us, all the generations present now, let me say is zero, including I myself, because we all know what's going on. Thank you very much.
I would say I still stand on mine that the national dialogue is necessary. Why? When you are executing a project and you discover not achieving your goal, what is dialogue? Let's leave the issue of dialogue. Discussion. We have to discuss. MDG goal, whatever, is as a product of discussion. But I think the problem is the personality. Whether you like it or not, if PDP leaves, another party comes in, we will still face the same problem. Now, when is the right time? There is no right time. Even if you say after the 2050 election, it's still not right. What do you think to organize it? Tell me. Those who are opposing the national dialogue, tell me who do you trust that can organize a national dialogue in this country? That's another question. Who do you trust? Then, the other issue is, why I think national dialogue is important is the composition. Egypt, they all went for a kind of dialogue to determine what? Their structure. Some want to see, a situation where people are not happy where they are. Just like the son in a house is not convenient with his father, and the father is still trying to restrain him. In that situation, what do you think will happen? It will cause problem. So thank you so much.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a statement about the sincerity. Do you think the government is sincere?
That is what I'm saying. We will never have a sincere government, and we will never have a sincere government.
I think the national dialogue is essential at some point of our national togetherness, because of some reasons I've raised in the past, some things that the National Assembly would not ordinarily do that they benefit from, and they will not ordinarily say, let us reduce my salary. Like issues of succession, for example. The National Assembly cannot say for a group that the Yorubas want to secede. It is national dialogue that people will come together and say, we want to break out. It is in the national dialogue that will now say, how do we divide the national investments we have in this country? Because we have military investments, for example, in the north, and none in the south. We have airports somewhere in the north, in the south. We have power lines all over the countries. So it is in national dialogues like that, like, say, how do we divide our national investment? It is where you build institutions. The National Assembly cannot build institutions. What they can do is to pass laws. There is a difference between laws and institutions. And then, let me say, for the timing, I think the timing is wrong. Because for a government that cannot dialogue with ASU, how then can you now entrust them with a larger scale of dialogue? Any dialogue that comes up now and say there should be some form of presidential rotation and any zone that is in power should continue, and then you are now trying to say the South-South should continue, the North will not accept. They will not hear any of those things. Because as far as they are concerned, the power must go back to the North by 2015. Dialogue or no dialogue.
The power must come back to me now. Yes. Because they are going to kick us out very soon if we don't finish up. Yeah, so as the dictator, I've been neglecting someone for some time, so let me make amends before I put on another cap. I have to remove my dictator cap very soon. There's a lady here that has not spoken, so lady, maximum 2 minutes. Your name, the book you've read, and your thoughts, but please let it be very brief.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Shem Bajola. Well, I can't remember any book I've read recently, but my opinion about the dialogue thing, the need it, yes, but now, no. Because, like what we've all been saying, you're right. They've not proved us capable of something that big. But I would want to implore every one of us to not lose hope on Nigeria. Well, I guess we still have hope in Nigeria. That's why we are here and we are discussing this. We should still have hope in Nigeria, and also we should take away religion and tribalism from issues. Let us deal with it squarely. Let us fix it. Thank you.
Now, I need to bring down my dictator and put on my legislature cap. The reason, of course, is this. If you read the charter of Leadersmine, the idea is that we should try as much as possible to reach a consensus after the discussion. And so now is the time to now vote after the discussion. Of course, we are still going to get individuals, but I want this to be like a symbolic end. So I will pose some questions, I think about 3 questions, and then we will signify by yea and nay, and then we'll end the program. Okay, so I think 3 questions. The 3 questions will be: 1, should there be national dialogue? 2, do you think the government is sincere? Then 3, okay, give me another question that you think is pertinent.
Can we hijack the process?
Okay, can we hijack the process? Yeah. Okay, so those 3 questions. So we'll start voting now.
Sorry, excuse me. Why you say we? What do you have we? Anybody that
when you are a Nigerian, you should be able to. You are a Nigerian. You pay your taxes. You are an adult. Even if you are a kid, you are a Nigerian. Because if sorry, let me just say this. If 90-year-olds determine what will happen in 50 years' time, will they be alive during that 50 years' time? And so once you are a Nigerian, you should be able to hijack. Alright, as a symbolic way to end this, we will do the vote now. So the votes are this. 1, do you think the national dialogue is necessary? Aye. Nay. The ayes have it. Wait. Huh? What do I use to bang? The ayes have it. Okay. Do you think the government is sincere enough about the national dialogue? Ayes. Nays. The nays have it. Should every Nigerian be able to hijack this process of national dialogue? Ayes? Yes. No? The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Alright, so I think that is a fitting end to this program. And this discussion does not end here. Let it continue in every of your sphere of influence. Your church, your mosque, your babalawos, where you normally meet with your, everywhere that you have, your Facebook, your Twitter accounts, or your social media platform, everybody that you can engage. Don't forget what we said. A leader is somebody who can lead people to where they will not necessarily go to. The person that services you, either in terms of maybe inflate your car tire, wash your clothes, and just engage with them so that you can open their minds. Because the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The price of democracy is constant engagement with the people that you've elected to lead you. Thank you very much. To end this program, we will also end by the way we started, which is a moment of contemplative silence where you say prayer to you said? Oh, conclusion. Sorry, my script got lost in translation. Anyway, conclusion. Alright. Yeah, okay. Conclusion. Okay, so the conclusion now is what we've done, which is that, okay, we agree that yes, there should be a process, there should be national dialogue. We are not sincere with the government due to various reasons. okay, maybe we feel that the National Assembly is